The war on drugs is back, and until America steps up on this and secures this border, it's only going to get worse.
Wow, the war on drugs in America is back. That is quite a statement.
I'd probably say 95% of all crime that we deal with is associated to addiction and drugs.
My government broke my heart. They really did, because I learned in that moment they were not actually there to help me. They punished me for the sake of punishment. There was not a shred of rehabilitation in that moment.
And there's actually one individual that I can think of that passed away 2 or 3 nights ago that I had seen do the song and dance over and over again.
Most misdemeanors occur because of drugs and alcohol.
It's sad, it's hard. I would say the underlying feeling is unmeasurable brokenness, if I had to sum it up.
My family poured into me, begged me to get sober and clean, and I refused.
At the age of 18, suddenly, I had access to methamphetamines.
In tonight's event, you are going to witness a handful of individuals that represent thousands of others. You are going to hear their stories. You are going to hear from professionals who are sick and tired of watching as our system crumbles under the weight of the problem in society. We see it all around us, and now there is an option, a path forward for this people group that has been suffering for far too long. Our unique goal for tonight is $175,000, which supports 20% of our annual budget for 2022. So please consider what God is calling you to do tonight. Thank you for joining us, and again, thank you for being Absolute Family.
Hi, my name is Christina. I'm an Absolute, and this is my story.
My name is Josh. I am in Absolute, and this is my story.
I feel like my childhood was rough. We struggled. Growing up, I had a really rough time. My mother did everything that she could for us. We were really poor. So I started losing everything. My ex-husband was abusive, and I started doing meth first, and shortly afterwards heroin, thinking that I can lean on that and it will fix everything. I won't have to feel anything, and every move I make was determined by the substance I was using.
So at the age of 18, suddenly, I had access to methamphetamines at my disposal at any time, just a quick phone call away. It made me feel happy, and I didn't have to think about all of the bad things that were going on in my life. I can say now that I have successfully completed about 5, maybe 6, 28 to 60 day inpatient treatment centers. More times than not, I'd go through the spin dry 28-day program. I'd end up in Oxford and I'd sit there for a year and not work on myself at all, save up money, and once I had enough, I'd move out and get an apartment and then literally repeat the cycle over again.
The effects of drug and alcohol in a community is, I mean, you think about it, it's a common denominator. It really is. There's such a common denominator of alcohol and drugs in anything that we see, and we deal with just a small percentage of population, as law enforcement. But the common denominator in every problem, whether it's domestic violence or, like he said, property crimes, drug offenses, whatever it is, the common denominator is alcohol and drugs.
I'm a spiritual person, so that's how I start my day, that's how I end my day. And unfortunately, the list of folks who are in my prayers gets longer and longer. So I've seen a lot of people who didn't make it. A lot of people pass away. And it's heart-wrenching. And doing what we do, you have to be careful not to get desensitized to it, because people are dying every day. This is literally a struggle for life and death. And a lot of folks don't understand that, and they don't think it can happen to them.
It's sad, it's hard. There are bright moments in the midst of that, but I would say the underlying feeling is unmeasurable brokenness, if I had to sum it up. I think I also hug my kids a little bit tighter, and I'm probably a little bit more aware of some of the dangers out there for my kiddos as I'm raising them, but I think there's times it just wears you out, burns you out, and I think I've always taken pride in being someone that wants to dive into those issues with people, and there's beautiful moments in that, in the ER, when I'm praying with somebody who's just overdosed for the 5th time that day. But also at the same time, I only got so much capacity.
It's sad for me thinking about the lack of success stories I can think of. And I've been doing this for almost 14 years. And graveyard patrol, you deal with addiction every single night. Patrol guys, every single day, that's what you're dealing with. And I've had people come up to me and say, hey, thanks, you made a difference, I'm different now. But how often I see those same people a year later back in the life again. And so I think that kind of goes to what we're speaking about, where you have to have that support when they need it. They've now cleaned up, they need structure, they need support, they need accountability. And when those aren't there, you have one bad day, one moment of weakness, and you're right back into it.
I've seen a lot of pain, and I've seen a lot of people struggle trying to get this thing, get some help, go back out, get some help, go back out. And there's actually one individual that I can think of that passed away 2 or 3 nights ago that I had seen do the song and dance over and over again.
I think if I'm totally honest, the adults, there's been so many, I think they all kind of blend together after a while, but when you see a kid, when his mom goes on a binge and passes out, and it's less than a year old, and smothers their baby, and the baby dies, it's pretty rough. And when I had kids at home, to go home to my own kids after seeing that, one that carries with me is, this was my patient. Both times they came in, they got into their parents' drugs. And it was the second time it happened. And seeing the effects on that. The kid didn't even know. I mean, they didn't even have a chance. They got into their parents' stuff not knowing what it was. The parents were who knows where, and that one shakes me up still.
I chose abusive relationships, I chose drugs, I chose the needle, I chose to neglect my family, to hate against my family, to leave my children, and to go back over and over to the abusive relationships, not just walk away and realize that it wasn't going to change. I decided that's what my worth was. My family poured into me, begged me to get sober and clean, and I refused. I completely wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. I was very selfish and just down on myself.
When you're somebody who's coming out of jail, or you're somebody that obviously you have legal trouble, you probably don't have a lot going for you at the time or any money. You're getting hit with court fines, you're having additional responsibilities, maybe you don't drive, you have jail hanging over your head. A lot of these things are too much for people to deal with. and they don't have the support that they need to get through those things. Without those things, ultimately it's just a setup for relapse, and the system is designed for you to release from jail and then eventually come back.
The system's not designed to deal with the problem. It really isn't. It tries, but it falls short. When I'm on the street and I run into an addict who at the moment says, hey, I really want treatment at this moment. Excellent. I make some phone calls, I get somebody down there, they do a drug assessment. Yes, let's get you into treatment. By the way, we've got your bed date, it's 2 weeks from today. Okay, well in 2 weeks, if we can find this person, right, it's gonna be, iffy. If we do find them in 2 weeks from now, so now they turn it down. So when we get them at the moment they want it, we're not able to capitalize on that moment. Hey, 2 weeks bed date, great. That almost always fails.
The system, as it is now, has a lot of good things to it, right? Like at the individual counterparts of the system, like there's good things happening at rehabs, there's good things happening in the court system, there's good things happening in the emergency department, but as a whole, I feel like there's many gaps that people keep falling into, and there's very little cohesiveness in the whole system where people can fall in the gaps between any one of these resources, and then they don't come out of those gaps. And you don't see many programs like Absolute that's willing to kind of address all the deeper issues. And like I said, there's good things happening in the system. I don't know if I'm bold enough to say the whole system is broken, but there's definitely broken aspects to it, and there's definitely gaps in the system. And so whatever we can do to bridge those is, I think, exponentially beneficial.
And the whole point of the justice system is to reduce recidivism, keep people from committing crimes so the community is protected. And addiction is something that needs to be dealt with in order to keep them from committing crimes. The system works if everyone who has a role in it does their job effectively and diligently, including prosecutors, probation officers, judges, and the offender, him or herself. If they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, the system works. If they don't do what they're supposed to be doing, then there's failure.
When they get out of those facilities, they send them right back into the environment in which they were in, and old habits are hard to break, and you just put somebody right back into the environment that they were destroying themselves in. They go right back to what's comfortable, what they know. They don't know anything else, so they don't have any other skills to do anything other than what we just pulled them out of. And so we do that, and there's no follow through on the backside. We're setting people up for failure, which is really sad, because we're offering them hope, and then we're literally destroying that hope when we just put them back in that environment. So it's very frustrating.
One of the unique things about Absolute Ministries is that we walk all the members through this season's workbook that allows them to be sustainable for the rest of their life. It's unique in that it is pushing them to be intentional about their time in Absolute. There are literally 4 seasons that they walk through, and each season has about a dozen benchmarks with different achievements that they have to do at their own pace. So we're not pushing anybody through it, and at the same time, we're not holding anybody back who wants to really display initiative and process faster through this. It allows for these individuals to truly become interdependent among the local church, develop relationships through the local community, be positive, be gainfully employed, be a tax-paying, contributing member of society instead of a drain that we've all been used to for far too long. These sons and daughters, moms and dads, nieces and nephews are finding a path forward after drug and alcohol rehab, and it's because of your contribution, your willingness to partner and give tonight that makes this possible. Thank you so much for being Absolute family.
I think it's groundbreaking. I'm surprised that no one else has tried to do what you guys do yet at Absolute. I think we our facility, and you guys kind of work with that same person for the most part, who's 18 to 28 years old and, never really stood on their own 2 feet and doesn't understand a lot of that stuff. And it's life skills. I think the fact that you guys provide the transportation, guarantee them getting a job is huge. Unless somebody gets up and goes to work every day, it's really hard to appreciate what it is you have, and then at the same time appreciate what your loved ones have done for you all those years, for the folks who are lucky enough to have good people in their corner still.
They have hope that there's something in their future whereby they'll be able to support themselves and be completely independent, whereas that never happens out in the real world. I mean, because you're struggling with your addiction and you're struggling with rehab, nobody's really focusing on your future in terms of employment or transportation or, getting a driver's license. It includes preparing people to leave and preparing them for the future. And that's not something that you find anywhere else in the justice system or in the community.
This is vital. This is the only real avenue that I know of. Maybe somebody smarter than me can think of something else to get somebody that's addicted. The power of addiction is so powerful. It takes years of new habit forming, of healthy habits in life to overcome that. What the drug could take from you in a matter of days, weeks, months, and that process of reintegrating your life back into some form of normalcy and some form of function, and getting you away from the power of addiction. I mean, we have to have that. I mean, and we should have been providing that all along. I just learned about you guys recently when Jeremy asked about this, and I was like, wow, somebody's doing it. What we complain about every day on the street as we deal with people, we need this, this, and this, and then he's like, hey, yeah, check out this thing where you come talk to him. You guys are doing it. I just think it's the responsible thing that we should have been doing all along. And I don't see another way of getting people from addiction to productive societal participation any other way.
One of the things that makes Absolute Ministries unique relative to transitional housing providers is the fact that we have a team of people whose only job is to make these individuals successful. And we do that by focusing on 5 key areas that typically keep people relapsing and on that cycle of drugs, alcohol, and rehab over and over and over. And we break that cycle first and foremost with Jesus Christ as being the crux of it all. But we also focus on these real and tangible areas of life that these people need assistance in. Area number 1 is job placement. We've got employment partners who love Jesus and love others that give these individuals turnkey employment because of their standing in Absolute. Area number 2 is transportation. Not only staff provides transportation, but also we provide vehicles that are fueled, maintained, and insured for these individuals that have driver's licenses to be able to use to get to and from their appointments and work. Area number 3 is financial framework and guidance. They don't know how to manage their money, and that's not bad. It's just where they're at. And we walk with them out of that place into a place of financial sustainability and teach them with actual structure in place that's functional how to do that. Area number 4 is relationships. How and where to relationship. This is where the local church comes in and our mentoring process. We've got structure outlined for that, and we walk with individuals both in abstaining from the negative relationships but also pursuing the good ones. And area number 5, the Department of Corrections and legal system assistance we provide is key and crucial in helping these individuals navigate their responsibilities as their life is being put back together. Thank you so much for your part in these individuals' process and new way of life.
Another thing that really stands out to me and stood out to me from the get-go was, of course, probation and court assistance. Absolute Ministries has had a staff member show up to every in-person court hearing that I have had, and I will tell you what, that goes so far with a judge and with a prosecutor. The transportation, fuel insurance, maintenance, and vehicle use, if you have your driver's license, that was like literally the most attractive thing, because, you know, releasing from jail or rehab into another secular situation that's not Absolute Ministries, you don't have a car. And more times than not, I'm out there riding a rickety bicycle in the rain to my low-paying job that has no future. And because of the vehicle use that's available to me here at Absolute Ministries, I'm now an apprentice electrician, which is a career path that I've been talking about breaking into for years. And because of all of the amazing people that I have in my life through Absolute Ministries and through the church that I've gotten involved in, I've got amazing people that are pushing me to be the best person that I could be. And I would not be able to do any of the stuff that I'm doing right now with church involvement, with getting into the career that I want, without that vehicle use. It's just a huge stepping stone and oftentimes a blockade that people have a hard time getting past in early recovery.
I feel like Absolute is so valuable to me, and I put my heart so much into it because it doesn't just give you tools, it shows you how to use tools. It gives you those steps of, hey, we're here for you and we're going to push you. So what I feel like Absolute really brings to the table is my restoration with my family. I have problems raising my children because I've been an addict for so long that I don't know how. And I'm completely lost. I've made mistakes and I've made the decisions that I've made, but that's not who I am anymore, and that's not who defines me. That was a complete different person than who stands here right now. I feel also that housing. I've been homeless for so long, and it's a blessing to have a roof over my head that I pay for, that I work really hard to have. And just knowing that I'm doing all these steps and taking these steps with great direction, it's fulfilling my life.
I spent my whole life pretending to be something I wasn't. I thought that there was no way that they could possibly love me if they knew who I really was, if they knew me for the fake that I really was. Then I met this unconditional love that chose to love me right where I was at, no matter what I'd done. You see, that's the kind of love that breaks the bondage. That's the kind of love that makes the chains fall off. Now I'm the realest I've ever been, in Jesus' name.
You a providential God, my Jehovah Jireh. Wanna thank you for the lessons, cause they helped me grow up. I was such a hopeless boy who thought he'd never know love. Now look at all these blessings overflow from my cup. Yeah, you brought me out of solitary, put me in community, put people in my life that aim to pour into me truthfully. You edify me, Lord, through your word you speak so beautifully. Till they lay my head upon the guillotine, Father, it's you I see. I look warm, cause my faith it was lukewarm. I vowed in full surrender, came back in a new form. Speak life into my brother, said I hang in the noose for him. Did away with all them fools who only like what I do for him. I was going mental, beating on my chest like Tarzan. You met me in my mess, you pulled me out with your two scarred hands. Reached in, pulled that stone up out my chest and put my heart back. Lord, lift me off the tarmac, wanna meet you where the stars at. I'll never understand why you chose to use me. Spent hours on that verse to rip the page about my loose leaf. When I'm discouraged, yeah, you catch me for I'm too deep. Call me out upon the water, walk with you across a blue sea. I'll never understand why you chose to use me. Spent hours on that verse to rip the page about my loose leaf. When I'm discouraged, yeah, you catch me for I'm too deep. Call me out upon the water, walk with you across a blue sea. Sparks fly, I'm on the grind for you. Yeah, in and on myself, there's nothing I can do. When they look at me, I hope they see the light of you. Increase yourself within me, Lord, there ain't no I in you. I remember all the torment, tears pouring out my face. I couldn't shake the dope, heart pouring out the hate. I couldn't find a hope, it was more than I could take. But when they see me now, it truly glorify your grace. Father God, today I need you to renew my strength. My bones are tired from so many years submerged in pain. My shoulders slump from this sinful world and all its weight. You're so alive and well, how they think that all this fake? They think this walk is all smiles? Ha, barely, bruh. You wouldn't believe some of the crosses that we carry, bruh. The passerby that always stops to scoff and stare at us, half a mile up in our shoes, yeah, that just might bury you. I'll never understand why you chose to use me. Spent hours on that verse to rip the page about my loose leaf. When I'm discouraged, yeah, you catch me for I'm too deep. Call me out upon the water, walk with you across a blue sea.
One day, you see this, my eyes, but I got this. One day, you see this, my eyes. You see your life.
For me, I feel like Absolute is like a breath of fresh air, because I feel like what I have seen from other resources, name it rehab, social work, case management, they lack the holistic approach. And what Absolute has is addresses like all the dysfunctions in someone's life that's leading to that addiction or that crisis, whatever you want to call it. That they address the spiritual dysfunction, the relational, the functional, even the physical and emotional dysfunction that's present, that could be present in someone's addiction. That Absolute is fighting to address those things, and there's fruit. And it's pretty obvious when you look at Absolute to see the fruit that's coming from a program or an organization that is actually addressing all those things, that I feel like you actually see true healing come out of that. I guess you compare that to even a rehab, which might approach or might address one or two of these issues, but when you step back, you see the cycle continue because the holistic approach isn't there. Mm-hmm. And that's why I just love Absolute for what they do.
Taking somebody who has the experience of addiction and who is just, humbling themselves and wanting to get help and plugging them into the local resource of the church, that individual is going to help people in the church more than they know. So I think plugging in and putting some responsibility from Absolute's perspective back on the local church, so that we're not washing our hands and saying, okay, government or whatever entity out there, you take care of this. We will support or pray for or watch from a distance. But no, you're putting the responsibility back on the local church. That's amazing.
I've found that commitment and dedication is more likely if you have a team behind you. If you have not just family support, but professionals who can show you the way and help mentor and guide you, and for help with things that are going on in your life.
The most important part of Absolute Ministries is the spiritual component. So I believe that addiction at the end of the day is indeed a spiritual malady. And I think a lot of folks are looking for something to fill that void that drugs and alcohol have created.
A vital part of Absolute is the church. I think that's one of the main things about Absolute that is causing me to be so successful.
I have people who love me, pour into me, will sit there after church and talk to me about what's going on in my past and like, what am I doing about it now? And they're straightforward with me. They can relate with me. He's done miracles in my life, and the reason why I feel like people should donate to Absolute is because it's something that actually works. It's people who actually care and invest their time into each and every single one of us, not just as a group, but each and every single one of us. They don't give up on us, and they don't turn their backs on us. And you don't see that a lot, especially nowadays.
We need individuals who are willing and able to take part in what God is doing. It's not enough to attend the family of God on the weekend and watch the dying world pass by. We have got to do more. You have the ability. You have the ability. And I'm talking to you, wherever you are right now. Respond to what God is speaking to your heart. You have yet to see the lives that are going to be transformed because of your willingness to engage.
Hi, my name is Christina. I'm an Absolute, and this is my story.
My name is Josh. I am in Absolute, and this is my story.
Thanks to incredibly generous individuals and companies, we are able to put on this event and help all those in our care. Those individuals and companies are Prospect Construction, Rickabaugh Pentecost Development, the Wagner Family, N&P Norwood, Carol Huntington, Motown Landscaping, and Sunrise Auto. Thank you so much for your contributions and belief in Absolute Ministries.
As I prayed the sinner's prayer, oh God, have mercy on me. God, have mercy on me right now, 'cause I just need a place to lay my weary head. So God, have mercy on me. Have mercy on me now. Have mercy on me now. You were looking for a holy roller with a point of pride to prove, oh, how irresistible to grace is failure. To hear a sinner singing, God, I need you. So God, have mercy on me. God, have mercy on me right now, 'cause I just need a place to lay my weary head, and I just need a place to raise my empty hands. So have mercy on me now. When I was desperate for redemption, a drowning man all out of breath, you threw me more than just a lifeline. You took the wind right out of death. Oh, and like a dead man resurrected, your spirit burning in my bones, until I breathe the air of heaven. There's a song I won't let go.
That's all I got.
Nirvana?
That smells like meat spray.
It's like you got the flannel on and everything.
No, none of that.
I need more.
I know where those videos go.
Wild thing.